School Monster Life continues. We had a good time at the Bigfoot open house. The truck ran amazing. We actually came in second overall, only to be beaten by Orange Crate, piloted by Tom Borders. He did a great job with the truck. He had some mechanical issues. He lost the transfer case on the track, but you know, that's monster trucking, stuff happens. But anyway, fun time's over and we're back to work in the shop. We're going to work on High Roller in the coming weeks. As you know, we had a little problem with High Roller. 5 very unusual things all happened at the perfect time in the perfect order, and High Roller laid over on its side. Not the greatest end to the day, but it was able to get driven back on the trailer under its own power, so I have to replace the cab and doors and do some body work to the hood and the rear quarter panel. Then we can paint it and get it back out on the track, or displays, or whatever he decides to do with it. But in the meantime, I'm trying to get as much stuff done as possible, so I have to paint the inside of High Roller's doors black, so I have to paint my pit cart black also. So I hurried up and finished my pit cart, and now I can paint everything at once, and it'll actually take less paint because I won't have any extra, you know, from making 2 different batches of paint. So that's how we have to work it. It's cheap and efficient, and that's the way we do it. But anyway, here's a pit cart. It turned out pretty cool. So I'm pretty happy with it. And a friend of mine, Dothager from the Army, saw it. And another friend, Mike Morgan, saw it and suggested something. And I'm going to take a combination of both of their suggestions, and it'll be black with flames to match the truck, but on the door there it's going to say Earthquake Disaster Response Unit, because that's funny and cool. But anyway, regular toolbox down this side, and over here is just a big storage unit. I can put my little portable welder in there, battery charger, jack stands, whatever. And then up here I have these 2 slide out trays. There's another one back there. And I can put stuff in there, but that's really not what they're for. The idea for those trays is a clean spot. If I have to tear a hub apart, I can put all my bearings and stuff in there and keep them separate side to side. That's what they're for. But now they're up out of the way, and I can put the rest of this stuff in the bottom, and it looks pretty cool. So that's where we're at. I finished the pit cart, and now we have to get the doors in here and start sanding on them. Well, we're getting ready to work on High Roller right now, and I thought I had a set of doors that were already off and stripped. I looked at them. They weren't as nice as I remember, so I looked out on a parts truck and I had a much nicer set of doors, but it requires me to do all that work again. So I just pulled them off. I'm going to get to stripping them and sanding them and arranging the chrome to what High Roller has, because the doors I have the racetrack trim and they need to have the rocker molding at the bottom. So have to grind some rivets, fill some holes, and then add the attachment points to the bottom of these doors that are on High Roller. The good thing is all the chrome on High Roller is good, so I can reuse all of that and not worry about, you know, stuff mismatching. Whew. I just carried the doors in, that's why I'm a little out of breath. But yeah, we're getting there. Just figured I'd give you an update on the High Roller rebuild. We're running out of materials and I'm already out of money, so we have to keep moving forward with progress somehow. So I went out back and stripped the cab and got it off of the frame. The one nice thing about having a tire crane on your trailer is you can wheel up next to a truck, unbolt the cab, pick it up off the frame and swing it onto the trailer, and that's just what I did. So I'll give you a quick tour of the cab right now. The cool thing about this cab is the tailgate off of this truck is actually already on High Roller, so now it's getting the cab from this truck too, so my parts truck has lived on to give monster trucks a new life. The quarter panels from this truck are on earthquake right now, so yeah, and one fender is on earthquake. So this truck has given its life so others may live on. But here, let me show you the cab. Now I still have to clean it out, but this is all I'm going to use of this cab. It's pretty solid except for the front floor pans, and I have to fill in the firewall here because that's all smooth on high roller, and some of these electricals will get filled in also. But cab mounts are a little bit lackluster. This one's okay, but the floor is kind of jacked, but that's okay because I know where to get perfect floors and cab mounts. They're already in high roller and they're already painted. I'm gonna have to repaint them, but there's a Jake brake law in town. Anyway, I'll cut the floors out and the cab mounts out of high roller and put them in this cab, and then I'll have an absolutely beautiful, flawless cab to put back on high roller. So that's where we're at. Good morning. It is Thursday, July 4th. Happy Independence Day, everybody. Anyway, we had our celebration over the past weekend, so today I'm spending July 4th celebrating America, building a monster truck, because America. Anyway, working on the cab. We got the doors painted red. I still have to paint the black on the inside of the doors since the truck has a black interior. And I two-tone the inside of the doors when I do this, so when you open the door it doesn't look like somebody forgot to paint the door jambs. But that's the way we're working it, and I painted the red yesterday since they have to lay on the outside of the door to paint the black. I have to mask all that stuff off and everything, so I want the paint to cure a little bit before I lay them face down on my fender stand to paint the inside. So in the meantime, I'm doing all the modifications to the cab. Now, modifications. Well, the firewall I smoothed out on the original truck, so now I have to do that to the donor cab. And I also notched the cowl for the blower so you can get it on and off. I'm making this notch a little bit bigger because as I was measuring the old one, I noticed that fuel line, when the engine vibrates and moves around, it was chipping the paint on the notch that I made. So I'm going to make this one just a little bit bigger, you know, 1/4 inch bigger or so, and that way it should stop that from happening. But so, well, here's what we got. Here's the new cab, and it's got a little bit of rust, but for the most part it's pretty solid. And then here is the beginning of the notch. I have it cut out here, and then I will make a pan that goes inverted and fits in this opening here, and then it'll, you know, be back here, and then that'll be the notch. And then this big hole for the heater box and AC unit will get filled. This hole, and this hole will stay, but these two get filled, these four get filled, and yeah, well, that stays there because that's for the gas pedal. And then that's it, and that's the modifications. Then we got some rust repair to do. Have to replace this cab mount. I'll probably wind up making a new one. The other cab mount, it's got surface rust, but I'm going to clean it up with the grinder because it's actually pretty solid. It's just, you know, the factory never painted that, so that's the way it looks. But when we're done, the bottom of this cab will look just as good as the roof this time, because now that I have the cab off of the chassis, I'm actually going to flip it upside down, do the bodywork to the bottom of the floor, and paint it so it's that much nicer. The other one, I painted the firewall in the back of the cab, but it was sitting on the frame, so I couldn't paint the bottom of it. well, now we're going to go back and do the bottom of it. We also have some other modifications that we're going to make. It's finally getting its tilt power front end, and the swing out steps that Bigfoot, the original Bigfoot has, will be on this one. This truck originally had it, but it was one of those things that was low on the list of priorities and we never got to it. Well, now we're getting to it since we have the truck in a million pieces. But you can get to see the doors. I'll show you the doors. It came out pretty nice. I still have to color sand and buff them, but I'm going to wait until after I paint the insides of them. But the jambs are nice. That's not a dark spot, that's a shadow from the strap. And then, yeah, I'm real excited to see that color again on a straight door. And that's where we're at. As I keep going, I'll get you more updates, but now that I've finally weeded all my smaller projects out of the shop, I'm going to go full steam ahead on this one. Alright, it's the afternoon of July 4th. I am a lot sweatier and dirtier than I was this morning, but I got the notch done for the blower on the cowl, and I got this firewall smoothed out, at least the metal work of it. Still got to go back and fill the antenna hole for the radio, fix a rotted cab mount, and do some floor pans, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. So I filled all those holes, and then there's the notch for the blower, and then there's the smoothed out firewall where the heater core was. So we're getting there. Like I said, it's moving pretty quick now. I had to get over some hurdles before I could really start cracking on this thing, but we're there now. So tomorrow morning, the insides of the doors will be black and cleared, and I can get the doors out of here and then flip the cab upside down and really go nuts with it and getting all the metal work done. I also had my friend Lonnie come over and pull the hood off of High Roller so I can start working on that too. So now we're kicked into high gear. We should be able to get something done. Figured I'd give you another update on High Roller. We have half the cab done. It's painted, it's cleared, it's ready to go. The only problem is it's the half that nobody sees. The firewall and the bottom of the cab are done, and now I'm getting ready to flip it over and start working on the part that you can see, which is actually smaller than this part, so hopefully it goes pretty quick. But anyway, I'm running out of minutes. It's supposed to be done this weekend. Today is Monday, and I'm supposed to have it out by this weekend. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but man, I'm trying. I'm really trying. But we're cruising in the right direction, so hopefully I can make something good happen. But anyway, it's just been one thing after another getting in my way. I haven't been able to work as hard as I can. I finally got my mom moved up from Florida, so if you count all of the time I've been away running back and forth, I have lost 5 weeks of work time this year so far moving my mom, which is a problem. But you know, now I'm trying to recover from that, so we're going after it hard and heavy. I did have to cancel all of my events and appearances for the rest of the year with my truck because with everything else that's going on, I just can't work on my stuff. I mean, it's the end of July. This weekend will be August, and from June 1st, I still haven't jacked up the front of my truck to see if I have a bad kingpin or not. I just don't have the time to get to it. I have, you know, an exhaust system that needs to be put on my daily driver. I haven't had the time. I have rotted cab mounts in my daily driver. I have to register my daily driver. I haven't had time between running back and forth to Florida, driving a moving truck, packing and loading my mom's place, unloading it into a storage unit, and in between there trying to get customers' jobs out, I didn't plan on doing high roller, so I still had a full schedule in the shop without high roller and add basically a complete restoration to the truck. I've just been going nuts and haven't been able to work on anything of mine, and it's more than a little frustrating, but you know, that's the way it goes. But like I said, we'll get high roller done, we'll get it out, it'll be better than new, and then maybe I can start working on some of my stuff. But anyway, here's how high roller looks. I got the bottom of the floor all done. Not bad for an old rusty farm truck that I dug out of a field. Now this part in the middle here is not painted because high roller is 4-wheel drive, and the truck I got the cab from was 2-wheel drive. So that section there that's not painted is getting cut out so I can put the raised trans tunnel in for the 4-wheel drive. So, you know, that was on purpose. And then, I don't know if you can see it in the dark or not, but the firewall looks pretty good. And everything's shiny. And nothing is rusty. No rust. No rust at all on the truck. And I can prove it because I've scoured every square centimeter of the truck. Anyway, more progress to come. Stay tuned. Well, today's the big day. We're getting the biggest piece of high roller fixed. We're pulling the old cab off and we're putting the new cab on. It's going to be a long day. It's really early in the morning. It's a little after 7 o'clock, but we got to get this done because I'm working in my driveway and this is going to be the only nice day of the week. It's going to be hot today, so yeah, long brutal day, but by the end of the day we should have a straight truck again. Let me show you where we are right now and we'll get to changing the cab out. So this is the last of the damaged cab. I'm glad it's got a tilt front end because we just flipped it up out of the way so I don't have to unhook anything there. That side of the cab is fixed. Still have to color sand it and buff it. I didn't get to that yesterday. But we were able to save the lettering and the pinstriping on the bed. And then obviously the cab's leaving today. But I got to get started unhooking the brakes and the steering and all that good stuff and getting it ready to pull. But in here, the new cab is ready. And here it is. Brand new cab. Not a spot of rust anywhere. We got the trans tunnel cover from the old cab is in there. The dashboard, all the wiring, the seat, door panels, headliner, all that stuff from the old cab's going into this one. So I'm trying to save as much of high roller as I can. And then the floor underneath this insulation is Dynamat. But Jeff said that it was still toasting his Tootsies. So we decided to put that extra layer in there. And hopefully the glass guy shows up today too. But here's the firewall, nice and smooth. And even if you look underneath, the bottom of the floor is just as nice as the top of the hood. Because that's how I wanted to roll with this one. So every time we work on a truck, or every time we work on a vehicle, period, it always gets nicer and nicer. But that's where we're at. I'll check back with you throughout the day and show you how far we're getting. The next step just happened. The glass guy just left. We have new glass in high roller. Here it is. He took my warning and came while the cab was still on the ground, so he didn't have to climb up on a ladder. $220 well spent. It's going to be a cool truck pretty soon. More progress. The old cab is off, not without its drama. The chain slipped as I had it up in the air off of the hoist. So yeah, what a mess. but nothing got damaged. Everything's cool. I was smart enough to put moving blankets over the new bodywork. So, yep, everything's good. The old cab's off. I'm gonna go get some lunch and then we'll start rigging up to put the new cab on. Here we go. Hey, it's been a couple days since I talked to you last. We were getting ready to throw the cab onto High Roller. We had a good day. We're expecting rain the rest of the week, so I wanted to hurry up and get the cab on there so we could be back inside. So on one day, I drove the truck out, took the cab off, took the dashboard, the wiring harness, the steering column, brakes, all that off of the old cab, put it on the new cab, hooked everything back up, and got it running enough to bring back inside the same day. It was a long day, it was a suck day, but yeah, the cab's on. Yesterday I got the interior back in it, and now I'm working on tidying up some of the last few wires underneath the hood, and then we're going to start hanging sheet metal. But here's where we are today. So the cab is on there. I'm going to try to go over here without killing myself. And I don't know if you can see it, but the interior's in there, and the headliner's in there, and the seats in there, and the carpets. And you can't really see any of that. How about now? There you go. Now we can see. So yeah, we got the interior in it, and everything works with the electrical system, which I'm very happy about. There you go. There's Adliner. But that's where we are. Getting closer. Said a few more minutes to tidy up some of the wires, put everything back in the looms underneath the hood, because how I did the electrical system was I unhooked everything underneath the hood and from the back and just shoved it all back through the firewall. When I pulled the dash out, the wiring harness was still attached to the dash, so I just pulled everything all out at once, slid the dash into the new cab, shoved all the wires back out through the firewall, and then hooked everything back up. It was the easiest way to do it. But I'll keep you posted. Hopefully by the end of today it'll look more like High Roller, because it'll have the doors, the fenders, the front end lined back up again. Front end got a little bit tweaked out of shape as far as alignment. The sheet metal survived, but the front end got pushed around, so I have to realign everything. But hopefully it'll look like High Roller by the end of the day. Well, tomorrow is the day that High Roller gets delivered. It's done. It's done, it's done, it's done. I was supposed to put a set of like Bigfoot style swing out steps on it so Jeff could get in it easier. I don't have time. I'm supposed to polish the valve covers. I don't have time. I'm supposed to make a automatic tilt mechanism for the hood so you could just use a button instead of doing it manually. I don't have time. But anyway, the only thing left I have to do is color sand and buff the hood, and it's only half the hood since I only painted half of it. Throw that on tomorrow morning and load it on a trailer with the bent up spare parts. But here's how it looks now. I don't know if you can see it, but It is all together. All the damage down the side is fixed. It's got a nice straight cab, doors. And the paint's pretty decent. Like I said, I'll throw the hood back on it tomorrow. I had just enough parts to do this. Like, the rear view mirror, the side view mirror on the driver's side got smashed. Well, I had a new bracket, but I didn't have a new mirror head, so I had to use the old mirror head. Well, I had the driver's side door glass got smashed. Well, in this truck it's tinted. Believe it or not, they had tinted and non-tinted glass. This truck had tinted glass. I had a tinted side glass, but I did not have a tinted vent mirror or vent window. So I had to pry the old door apart enough to get the old vent window out, straighten all the brackets on the vent window, and then put it into a different vent window frame, and then put it in the door. The doors I got didn't have the rocker molding. That's 20 holes I had to drill in between the door and the cab. The doors I have didn't have map pockets inside. That's another 12 holes I had to drill. The rear steer switch got destroyed in the accident, so I had to go buy a new switch and wire that back in. Now the rear steer works again. There were just so many little things. I spent 8 hours putting 2 flipping doors together. Man, I'm beat. I've had it. I'm done. The whole job has been like that. But it's done, and it'll be at wherever it'll be next week.